A South Korean official who went missing from a fisheries patrol boat earlier this week was shot dead by North Korean troops. The South Korean military said that the official's body was later burned by North Korean troops. The military did not explain how the official ended up in North Korean waters.
우리 군은 북한의 이러한 만행을 강력히 규탄하고 이에 대한 북한의 해명과 책임자 처벌을 강력히 촉구한다.
South Korea's military said evidence suggested the man was attempting to defect to North Korea. The official was reported missing from a South Korean patrol boat on Monday when it was about 10 kilometers south of the northern limit line. The exact reason the official was shot by North Korean troops is still unknown. Joining us on this broadcast is my colleague Bruce Harrison, who's joining us live from Seoul. On this latest story, Bruce, this has generated a lot of interest internationally. It's a bizarre story, really. So South Korea claims that one of their officials was shot dead by North Korean troops. But South Korea also claims that this official was trying to defect from South Korea to North Korea, but he was shot by the North Korean troops.
That's right. All we know right now is what we've heard from South Korea's military, what they've publicly announced. They don't know all of the specifics at this time either. They do have certain intelligence sources to provide information and piece together this rather bizarre tale. South Korea has also said that it sent a message to North Korea across the land border, but it hasn't heard back yet. One of the details they also said, the military, was that the man left his shoes on board this ship and apparently he grabbed a life vest, so indicating he made a decision to leave this boat, perhaps in an attempt to defect. But simply it's unclear at this time. There was an incident at the border between China and North Korea about a month ago where North Korean troops shot and killed a North Korean smuggler, and reportedly that earned them praise because of coronavirus control efforts in keeping the borders tightly closed. The South Korean military has suggested this time as well, perhaps the reason this man was shot and then killed, his body burned, was also a coronavirus control method. They're trying to make sure that their country, which has poor medical infrastructure, isn't exposed to this virus at all.
Right, so that's truly bizarre. North Korean troops, if they have shot and killed the South Korean official to prevent a possible coronavirus infection from entering the country. But do explain what South Korea says. Where exactly did this man go missing from? They say it's a patrol boat. Were there other people on board this patrol boat? When did they realize that this man is missing and is trying to defect towards the north?
Well, from what we can tell, it was a routine expedition with the government ministry, the Ministry of Fisheries, and this man had been simply carrying out his duties, a 47-year-old man, a father of two, according to the South Korean media. Yes, there was other people on board this ship. The conditions of which he left that ship and ended up in the water are still uncertain. They said he was discovered by North Korea about 6 kilometers from the northern limit line, and he was questioned by a North Korean patrol boat before he was shot, killed, and then his body was burned. And this is all according to South Korea's military. They really haven't given us that many details at this time, and it's quite possibly because they don't have all the details themselves. There's no direct communication between the North and the South right now. It's been that way most of this year. Leader Kim Jong-un likely burned because of the summits between North and South, as well as the U.S. and North Korea haven't produced much as far as what he'd like to see for his country, so they've severed communications. So Seoul is simply waiting for a response right now, and like I said earlier, piecing together this bizarre tale.
Bruce, thank you so much for joining us and getting us all the latest from, like you mentioned, a bizarre tale emerging out of Seoul, that one of the officials who was trying to defect to North Korea has been shot and killed by North Korean troops. We'll keep coming back to you, Bruce, for more on this story as it develops.